Um, yeah, I thought that, yeah.
All right, great. Well, we can get started. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, as always, to Wanye for joining us and interpreting. Very fun fact I have to share with you all. I went to a wedding back in September, I think it was, in the Albany area for an old college friend that got married. And I get out on the dance floor and there's Wanye. So we got to dance together. That was pretty cool. Very
It
small
was
world.
fun. It was fun. Small world. Yeah.
Didn't expect that to happen in Albany, but it was great to see you there. So
Great seeing you too.
Small world.
thanks. And yes, he's a good dancer. I'm sure you're all wondering. Me, well. So we have some good things to go through today. We want to start off by talking to you all about the process that Heather mentioned over an email on Friday, to talk about the process for membership for this group, recognizing that there will be times when folks may have the need or the desire to step down from their involvement with the AC3, and that could create openings. In fact, I think we might even have one now, and what the process might look like to have new folks join the AC3. And so Heather and I have discussed this with the co-chairs, who are all here today, which is great. And they're going to lead us through that part of the conversation to get your feedback on the draft that Heather had put together. So if you have it, you can open it up, but I think Heather will also share screen and we could look at that. And I believe Annette is going to lead us through that conversation. Is that right, Annette? And then if there's time afterwards, we will, if we are able to wrap up this part of the conversation, we can just also give you some sort of general updates on the various things that we've been working on. And if there's not time for that, we'll just shoot you an email and let you know. So unless I missed anything, I will turn it over to Annette.
Thank you, Kevin. First off, we want to first acknowledge the hard work and dedication of this team. You have consistently shown up, you have consistently shared your ideas, and truly have helped and supported the city to move arts forward. So thank you individually and thank you collectively on behalf of the AC3 co-chairs, Thomas and Sean and myself. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're now at a wonderful interval within this work, and we're looking for new members to join. I'm not exactly sure. I think we have 2 or 3 open slots. We want to keep this group in a workable number. So we're looking at about 12 active members. And those 12 active members will include the AC3 co-chairs as well. So we looked at what we thought was a good starting point, and that would be the eligibility criteria. We really want to work with artists and art organizations that are aware of the creative economy, their contributions, what is needed in the creative economy, and how they can best contribute to the greater creative economy. So we also want to find artists that are either working in the city, have a studio in the city, or are housed or live in the city. Hence, because we are a city arts initiative. So we really want to keep it within that demographic population. So best to serve those within the communities that we live, work, and play in. We are asking you, since you have been part of this process, you are well aware of the internal workings and how we are collaborative and inclusive. We want to ensure that this arts team continues to grow in a meaningful way and to move this work forward. I cannot begin to tell you that 3 years ago, this did not exist. Applaud yourselves, because we together have made this come into fruition with the support of our team at the city as well. So we wanted to address first the questions to you. active members. If you are returning, we want to ensure that you still have a slot open and available on this board. And if you choose not to return because of work, career, life, family, babies, whatever it may be, that you also have a hand in recommending others to serve on this board. Thomas and Sean and I really focused not only on artists and art organizations, but those who are really striving for a greater impact in the larger creative economy, not just your own art organization, but really trudging a path for the larger creative economy to come forth. I think I've covered all the basics. The only other requirement we're going to have this year is an application. We feel like we need to formalize the process. We also are asking those who are considering joining us to tell us who you are and why you think this work is important and how you feel that you can contribute to the creative economy and this work. Thomas, Sean, did I cover everything that we wanted to overall? Any additional comments or insights?
That was excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
So we're really now on to that review. What we've decided is that once all of the submissions and applications have been sent to us, the co-chairs will review them. We will then select what we consider the 3 or 4 top recommendations based on how many slots are open and available. And then we will share those recommendations with the larger group, who will then vote on those new members. And this will become our passage, rite of passage, as we begin to build this arts commission and hopefully have an arts commissioner someday that will take this work on. So thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
Annette, if I could just add one other point, if you wouldn't mind, Heather, scrolling up to the top. There's the leading off with a question of each of the existing members, if they want to continue to be part of this group, and that annually we would check in with each of the AC3 members. I will mention this time around, as you all know, we're about to launch into our arts and culture plan. And Heather can talk more about the details of that later, but where that's relevant here is that we haven't fleshed out all the details exactly, but it's likely that that plan will have some kind of a steering committee, a group that's helping guide the development of that plan along with a consultant and city staff. And we want to invite AC3 members, any of them, to be part of that steering committee. So as you're considering whether or not you want to continue as an AC3 member, we would certainly welcome folks to do both, continue with this group or serve and serve on the steering committee. But you might also decide that you really only have the time and the availability to do one of those two things. It's also possible that we might meet a little less frequently as an AC3 in 2024 as we're highly focused on the plan. Again, we haven't worked out the details of that fully, but that is a possibility. So just keep that in mind as you're considering if you want to continue to serve, if you might feel like you only have the margin to either serve on the steering committee or serve on the AC3. It's just something to think about.
I had a question on, so is there a max number of members that you're considering? And how many of those should be community members versus city employees on the committee?
So we only count community members, not staff. And we're thinking 12 is a good number of community members along with our team at the city. Good question. Thank you, Annette. I'm glad we clarified that.
And I will go ahead and chime in that we do have one opening right now that we know for sure. But we do intend to reach out to folks individually to make sure that they can think about it and let us know if they just don't have time for the work in the next year. So we'll have a firm number on openings very soon.
Can you also let us know, I know you just said that you have one more position available. I am thinking of someone that it would be very beneficial to this. So let me know if you do have one extra chair, and I will let you know if this is something that we might need, and then I would reach out to them directly.
Thank you, Antonetta. Yes, we are looking for a diverse pool of representatives. So this is very important to ensure. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
I wanted to chime in also about if anybody had any questions or thoughts about the document, you know, about how we've laid this out. It's pretty clear, I think. But I just wondered if anybody had any suggestions or comments about the document itself and how we were going to proceed, or if we've missed anything maybe, or.
I have a comment there, Thomas. And forgive me if you talked a little bit about this. I was a little late signing on. But I wonder if you thought about building in any more like allocation recommendations, like X number of members should be artists, X number of members should represent organizations, two should, and I'm just throwing out numbers for the sake of the conversation. There should be two that represent the performing arts, two that represent music. I don't know. That's just a general way of ensuring that the committee is representative of all the diverse genre and diverse like sub art communities that we have in our area. We did take a similar approach with Rock Arts United. I think it's been a good guiding principle from the beginning, and we kind of have, then there's like an empty box sitting there when we don't have a representative from the performing arts. It's sort of like staring us in the face, and we know we really need to search for someone new from that area to fill that allocation.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea, Blue. Yeah, maybe we should first figure out who we do have represented. And then you're right. I think we should then see what's missing, how we should proceed. Yeah, I think actually that's an excellent idea. So I'm going to suggest that we follow that set up something like that.
I agree with that as well. That's a great idea, Blue. I know initially when we sat down to figure that out, that was kind of our makeup, but we haven't put that in writing. We were like, all right, who's representing this? Who's in this? That's a good way to make that formal. Thank you, Blue.
I agree wholeheartedly. Great suggestion. Thank you, Blue. We'll review.
I have a question. Sorry again, also if I missed it, but do you discuss how the chairs are selected and how long they serve for, etc.?
That's a great question. We actually haven't decided any of that or talked about it. Thank you. You're absolutely right. That should really be, well, I guess it's just a separate document, really. But you're right. Maybe that's the next discussion. We haven't talked about it at all. Thank you, Dacilla, because that's an important thing. And really, there should be a sort of revolving chairs thing. So yeah, maybe that's our next document. Thank you.
And not unlike a board of directors, you three should be onboarding somebody new while you're still the chairs or what have you. Yeah.
And I agree wholeheartedly. For us to carry this work over 5 years, and I want to point that out, that Thomas, Sean, and I have been meeting for over 5 years to do this. That is critical to ensure that the next person who are becoming the chairs also have that dedication and that commitment level, because we've done this work for free. And we've been very intentional about ensuring equity across all platforms. So that is a great discussion. Next one up. Thank you.
And Blue, thanks for that suggestion earlier about, you know, the sort of the makeup of the group. Would you be willing to share any documentation that your group has that Rock Arts United has on that, so we could just have like as a starting point to consider?
Yes. Yeah. It'll be a kind of like I described. I think that there's the whole question of how larger organizations might be represented on this committee, whereas Rock Arts United is not really attempting to represent that whole strata of our art community. Rock Arts United is more dedicated to the small orgs and the individual artists. So that'll be like a missing piece in that allocation. But yeah, I'll send along whatever we have from that. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. And it certainly wouldn't be a, you know, copy paste kind of exercise for this group, but I think it would be a
Yeah.
really good starting point, at least different elements to consider.
Yeah.
Were there any thoughts on the specifics of the application? I think that this is, you know, we can certainly, once we're actually in the position to be about to distribute the application, we can circulate it for everyone's review, but this is kind of what we have so far as a starting point.
Did you all weigh sort of nominations from within the committee versus a self-nominating approach? Did you all consider how to guide this in that way?
Well,
Great idea.
it's a great idea. Well, I'm not sure I'm following what you mean. I mean, they're both feasible or possible, or yeah.
But
Can you
the
talk
way you
more?
have this written is this would be put out broadly for people to self-nominate, right? Tell us why you would be an excellent addition to the AC3 as opposed to someone from within the committee recommending you.
Oh, well, I think, but even if somebody recommends someone, they would have to still go through this. I mean, I don't know that we'd need a separate, you know, like if you recommend somebody, this is what you would give them to fill out. Does that make sense? Or
Yeah, I guess what I'm asking is like, are you all anticipating that the lion's share of new members would come through self-nomination, or some percentage would come through self-nomination versus internal recommendation by a subcommittee or by the chairs or by an open forum like popcorn, throw out names? Just sort of wonder, you know, I think my experience with this is that you get a very different pool, and that can be great, but also it leads to quite a different discussion because internal recommendations have sort of already either intentionally or kind of subconsciously vetted because they know the process, they know the person may have the wherewithal and the time and the availability to participate, whereas sometimes the self-nomination, people may not really fully understand what they're getting into or what they're nominating themselves for. Yeah, I could talk a lot about this stuff. I'm taking up a lot of space here.
No, yeah, what you're saying is important. Yeah, there is sort of a fine line there. And maybe people who nominate from outside, maybe we need some more clarification. Would that be sort of what you're getting at?
Yeah, or an allocation. Maybe two people come through self-nominating. I don't know. That is something that we've done at Rock Arts United. We've said, okay, we're going to have a nominating committee, and we're going to choose two out of four through a nominating committee, And then we're going
Yeah.
to reserve 2 spots for self-nominating, and we put that out broadly. It just is such a different process.
You know, I
My
think,
only,
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Annette.
I apologize. My only concern is I think Blue has a valid point. I would tend to weigh heavier towards those who have nominated within this committee versus just a self-nominating. Maybe what we need to have is in that self-nominating 2 references so that they can be called, or at least the follow-up. Self-nominating, I'm all about advocating for yourself, but the qualifications, I'm not sure how we would know if they what they can contribute. So it's
Yeah.
I
an ebb
think
and flow.
I think that's what he means is like making sure that there is a balance, because the people that would be nominated internally, like yes, we would know that they have the qualifications, etc. But by making sure that we allocate a certain number of the 12 seats to self-allocation or external allocation, we're making sure that there's community involvement, that we are saving space for people that may not have worked with us in the past. And so we're opening that up to people who may not have that kind of representation within this group of artists, but maybe from another group of artists that we may not know about, but do have the time and qualifications. So making sure that that space is allocated outside of just people like in this group would be able to choose from.
I mean,
I'm in
I listen.
agreement.
Oh,
No, go, Thomas.
well, I'll just be brief. I hear that. I just feel like everyone who's nominated is going to go through the same process, though. I mean, it's not as though we're going to favor the people that, we know. I mean, I think that's sort of why this is written the way it is. I mean, I'm not sure that maybe once there's a commission, I could see that, 3 seats should go to this, 4 seats to go to that. But I think where we are right now, I'm not really sure that we should specify, or just my, personal feeling. I'm not sure we should specify how many people should be sort of people we don't know or whatever, which it's hard to imagine that can happen. But how many people we don't know versus how many people are internally, nominated. I mean, I think they all have to kind of go through the same vetting process, no matter how they come to us. I'm not sure if that resolves what you're trying to say, but I mean, I think what you're saying is important. I'm wondering if at this juncture where we are, if that's actually something that's going to be a priority right now. I'm not sure. Maybe in the future I could see this happen, that we need to set this, but I don't know. I mean, anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
If I may add, I agree with Thomas. Also, part of diversity is people with disabilities. So if we can, it's not just about also race or ethnicity as well. So if you want to add that question, don't forget about us as well. So I don't know if you want a separate question. Do you identify with a person with a disability that is an artist? Maybe separate question or whatnot. Second thing, I'm not sure what form you use, but most of the companies, most forms have available a large print option on the right left lower corner of the screen, and they press it when they click on the website. But just something to keep in mind. So I don't know what form you're using, if you want to run that by me to see if it works for people with low vision and whatnot. Third thing is, what if we have someone that we personally know, we could make a separate form on just for the people that we know, and we could send it to this person, and this person could fill out the application with the reference of our name, and then having a separate application if they want to self-advocate. I don't know, just a thought. I don't want too many applications at one, but I love the idea of knowing who referred this person if they were referred. So hope that helps.
Well, I don't know if we resolved this or not, actually. But should we continue the conversation about this? So I mean, it is worth figuring out. So should anybody else have any, comments or discussion around this? What your thoughts are?
I think we can definitely take the comments from today and revisit the document and make some adjustments and make sure the co-chairs are comfortable with it, and then circulate it to the rest of the committee. Make sure that we've captured everything, and yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. And then maybe when we circulate this almost final draft, that people, if there are things that you feel should go there or be in there or whatever, you could kind of write that in someplace. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't want to totally like dismiss this idea of, how many people should be from or how we approach people from the internally versus people from the outside. I mean, I think they should all, have the same vetting process. But I do think that there is something to what Blue is bringing up. And so we should think through that a little bit about how to address it. Hopefully it's not really a separate form. I would really prefer everyone to fill out the same form and it kind of be very transparent that way. But anyway, I guess more discussion is needed, or actually write in some of those ideas, I suppose, and then let us see what's what after that.
Okay. Unless anyone has any additional thoughts on that, definitely appreciate everyone's feedback and expertise on this. So thank you. And we can transition to going through some updates, but that is not the end of that conversation. So stay tuned for an updated version, and we can get more feedback from folks on that. So Heather, you want to walk us through some of the more exciting things that are happening lately?
Yeah, we have some quick updates for everyone. First, I want to say that the murals program, 2 of the 4 murals are now complete. Hooray! So we have the first projects completed through the newly implemented Percent for the Arts program completed. That's the one at Lincoln Library and one at Avenue D Art Center. The other 2 are at Edgerton Art Center and School 19, and they have been started, but will be completed in the spring because our season has ended, even though we have weird, nice days here and there that are confusing. And then we're going to have a kind of community unveiling / celebration of all 4. Aria and Tam are working on the idea of having one day where we celebrate all 4 in sequence. So we kind of start at 1 and then go to the next one and the next one and the next one. And there's a potential for lots of community activities like a scavenger hunt or like a bingo card for kids. If they go to all 4, they get a prize and stuff like that. That should be really fun. So we'll keep you updated once we set the date for that. But again, it'll be in spring. And then the mosaic artworks that will be installed at Quamina Park, that's going to happen. The actual installation will happen in the spring, but the artist team is gearing up to start the oral history component of the project. And Almeda Whitus is working on that with Dr. Kate Mariner from U of R. And again, this is being managed by Rock Arts United. So that's exciting, and we'll keep you posted on that as well. And then some exciting news. We are still on track for having the city and county arts and culture plan developed through calendar year 2024. The RFP review panel selected a consultant, and that is going to City Council on the 19th, next Tuesday. And those documents are public, so we can now tell you that the review panel selected a firm called Designing Local who works out of Columbus, Ohio. And the review panel selected them, found them to be the strongest there were 6 proposals, and they found them to be the strongest because they have the most arts and culture plan experience for cities. Additionally, they spoke really well in the interview. They responded to all of our questions really well. And in particular, they spoke about community outreach very well. So if you all remember, part of the plan was we had a minimum budget set to pay local artists to really design and implement the community engagement for the plan. And Designing Local increased the budget for artists to be $30,000. So we will be going out with a call for artists to find 3 or 4 artists to make up the artist engagement team. We will be releasing that soon. It's going to be an RFQ, request for qualifications. We want to make sure we leave plenty of time for folks to respond, but ideally they'll be in place and selected and ready to go in March when we're really starting to start ramping up into community outreach for the plan. If any of you are interested in reviewing that RFQ, we would appreciate the feedback, but of course, if you intend to respond to the RFQ, you should not review it and give us feedback because that would be a conflict of interest. So I will follow up with an email to you all to ask if any of you want to volunteer. So don't feel like you need to respond right now to that question. But any questions about any of that exciting stuff? Okay.
Well, if no one has a question, I might put you on the spot, Heather, and suggest, could we watch the 1-minute video from the Channel 8 report last week that was featuring the mural?
Oh, yes. Let me, give me just a moment. And
I
I'll
have
pull
it
it up.
pulled up already because I was
Oh.
thinking about it, but
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
part
go
of
ahead.
it,
Let
so
me,
I didn't want to assume that you.
I thought that I didn't think I was in it.
No, I meant that you were part of that you went out.
Oh,
with the
yeah.
mural.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's spoiler alert. I got cut from I didn't get featured in it, you guys. Yes, Kevin, you should be able to share screen.
Okay, give me 1 second. I hope everyone's had a chance to see this mural. It's really cool. So there's a little video. Oops, sorry, 1 second. Oh, I hate Zoom and multiple screens. Such a pain. All right, you all seeing the Channel 8 site? Yes, okay.
Dog in Rochester is being honored by one local artist in the community now.
We have those
That artist
captions.
is dedicating
Click
this
on the
mural to
captions.
Edgar Santa Cruz, who is known by many in the community as a hardworking and
Yes.
generous man who died.
Sorry about that. Is it over here?
Did everything to help those living on the margins of society.
I sent in a proposal
would you,
card
start
with
getting it
him,
again?
and the theme of the mural proposals was My Rochester, it was called. So I sort of think about what that meant to me, and I thought about Edgar, who was a friend who had recently passed away, and about honoring him in the way that he really deserved to be honored, and I thought this would be a good opportunity.
This is part of the city's Mural Percent for the Arts program, and this mural was one of the first projects as part of that program.
Welcome to the Hazleton Auto Mall family.
Yay.
Service your vehicle.
Exciting stuff.
Is that a new initiative, the Mural Percent for the Arts?
You never quite get the name right.
You gotta love the media.
It even says it in the mural, like it says this is percent for, anyways, yeah.
And by the way, I do want to pass along a message from the mayor. I met with him last week, and he's very excited that this stuff is happening. He's very excited about the work of this team and our Percent for the Arts program. And we are regularly, Heather and I are regularly meeting with our communications team to talk about the different ways that we can promote these things as they roll out. But he just wanted to reinforce to me that we need to do more to promote these murals and the mosaics that are coming and all of the Arts Bloom activities that are happening or are about to happen. So it's definitely front and center for Heather and I and our partners like Ray and others in communications to keep promoting this on social media and in other places. And we welcome you all to do the same. So keep an eye out for, posts from city's official pages that you can reshare those, or maybe just take pictures of these murals yourself and share them. And the more we can call attention to this, the better. So.
Oh, can I just jump in for a second? So I'm so happy to hear that the mayor said that to you. So I talked to him briefly at my dance thing last weekend and told him that I felt we needed more publicity around the arts. And but actually, just more sincerely, I think that maybe it's this group that works a little bit on this idea. I think that we need an actual campaign, though, around how do we publicize, might not quite be the right word, but how do we get more information out into the general public about not only those murals, but just about what we're doing here, how we've been doing this. I just feel a little bit, when I talk to people just, who are outside of the arts, that they have no clue about any of this. And so I want to find a way that maybe we can brainstorm campaign or I don't know if that's the idea either, but some way of really rolling out, this is happening, I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad to hear that he said that to you. But I do feel like there's important work going on here that is part of the layering of fabric of this community that really builds a foundation moving forward. And I think people should be aware that that's happening, that it's important that it's happening. Well, for one reason, I think it just gets in people's minds that the arts are not just frivolous entertainment, and that they actually are part of how we live and how our living is enhanced. And so anyway, I just feel like that's an important piece that maybe this group could actually brainstorm about at some point, but something to keep on our radar, I think, about how we quote unquote promote what we're doing.
So actually in communications, we have been discussing that. So every other week we have what we call content meetings. So we go over things that the city is doing. And oftentimes Laura does bring that up when we're discussing the arts. And we actually had a meeting about 2 weeks ago about a specific campaign for one of the arts projects. So we are working on it.
That's great. Thank you. I did also mention to the mayor, that it would be a good idea maybe to integrate the discussion about the arts into other things. So when you're talking about something else, you could also say, yes, and plus this arts thing, happened to be here too, or just so that it's not just about, oh, well, the arts are over here and they do that, but that they're integrated into all the other things that are important, so that it kind of raises the importance in people's minds if we can kind of include the arts and other things that we're talking about as a city. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Thomas. And I think we'll take that to heart in terms of whenever we talk about promoting an individual, say, installation or event that is funded through this, each time we should zoom out a little bit and see, okay, what other things are happening in this area related or just adjacent to it, whether it's investments by the city or investments by organizations or private sector and is there an opportunity to kind of call attention to this thing this installation or whatever does not exist in a vacuum, but maybe there are other things to call attention to. I think that's a good idea. But similarly, to your point, each time we try and promote something individual like an installation or an event, that's another opportunity to call attention to everything else that we're doing with the arts, that we have an arts and culture plan that we're working on, that we have this percent for the arts program, that we have this AC3 and the city arts team, and all of these sort of bigger picture things that are behind this individual moment. You know, every time we publicize that, is an opportunity to highlight that. So we want to keep doing that. Okay. Any other thoughts, ideas? Are there any more updates? Does anybody have any questions about things that are happening?
No more updates at this point.
Okay, great. Well, as always, feel free to reach out to any of us, the co-chairs or Heather or I, if you have questions or thoughts. We welcome that. And hearing none, then we can wrap things up. So I just want to wish everyone a happy holidays. Hope you have wonderful time with friends and family here in the next few weeks, and hopefully time to relax and, for example, rest broken feet or torn Achilles or any other injuries that you might have. So great to see you all.
Happy holidays.